Okay, thank you, Jill, for looking after the technology here. Council, thank you very much for coming to a double header today. So we'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Today's meeting is being held as a virtual meeting due to the declared emergency. The meeting may be streamed live as well as recorded and published on the Southwest Middlesex YouTube channel. We begin this gathering by acknowledging that the land upon which we meet is the traditional territory of First Nations people. We convey our respect and thank them for their contributions to our culture, community, and our past and future partnerships. Council, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 3. Krista, good to see you. We apologize for starting without you there, but we weren't sure what time you were going to come on there, but you made it. Additions to the agenda, Council, are there any? Council, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda, and I courteously ask you if we can move the bylaws before the close of the meeting to accommodate the public and
So moved.
others. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. A seconder for that. Councillor Bartlett. Discussion? All in favor? Agenda is adopted. Jill, delegations and presentations. At the time of our review, there were none. Is that correct? Okay. The consent agenda is before you, Council. I'll go through them 5A to 5N. Any that you wish pulled out will move to new business under number 12. 5A, October 13th, 2021 draft council meeting minutes. 5B, Southwest. Oh, yeah. Question, Martin?
Yeah, I just had a quick comment, but whatever you want, Mayor Allen, I can make a comment right now.
Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Allen. Yes, I noticed there's a change in the vouchers, the way they're written up. If you looked at it 2 meetings ago, there were details now. For instance, for example, there's a bill Ostran there marked on there. And before it would say municipal drain cleanup. Now there's nothing.
Okay.
So once again, the ratepayers are getting less information than what they have.
Okay, so you want a description is what you're asking for, right?
That's right, Mayor.
All right. Okay, we'll address that at the end of the vouchers. Then I'll have Kristen formulate a reply to you, but we'll move on and I won't forget that, Martin. Southwest Middlesex vouchers, are there any you wish to discuss? Seeing none, I don't see any hands. Okay, continuing. Southwest Middlesex building report, third quarter, 8.9 million. We'll hear from Arnie later on this. The county council report. And the recipients of awards from Glencoe District High School, their thank you letters. Anna Skillen regarding the Cannabis Act. And Anna Skillen again.
Mayor Mayhew?
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, Martin, I see your hand. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like that one and the next one to be discussed. I think
Okay.
we should look into that.
Yep, 5F and 5G, Martin, is that correct?
Yes, that's right, Mayor Allen.
Okay, thank you. Now. Okay, notice of Enbridge, 2022 FCPP. And a memo to the clerk and the CAOs regarding the enhanced vaccination certificate. And a a letter from Leamington regarding long-term solutions for long-term care. And St. Clair Region Conservation Authority management announcement. Ken Phillips, the new GM. And a letter, looking for hands here, a letter from the Ministry of Northern Development, Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry regarding Crown land sustainability.
Yeah,
Yes,
Mayor Mayhew.
Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you skipped over one,
Okay.
5I, St.
Okay.
Clair Region
Yep.
Conservation Authority
Yes, you did.
draft
Mhm.
budget presentation and invitation. Could we pull that one out?
We sure
So
can,
I can-
yeah.
I can comment on that one later.
Yes, we will. SCRCA draft budget 9.5 million. So I think that's worth pulling out, Mark. Mark, I'm just going to add that to new business here. I'll just make a note of it so we don't forget it. Okay, we'll look after that. Letter, we got that, Ministry of Northern Development, and letter from the Solicitor General regarding community safety and well-being. All right, we will ask for a motion to receive the consent agenda with the exception of 5F, 5G, and 5I, which we will move to new business. May I have a motion for that, please? Councillor Scholdice, thank you. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. And Martin, we'll get back to your concern regarding descriptions. Is Kristen with us? Kristen, could you address Martin's concern through the chair?
Sorry about that. Absolutely, I can. That was just a change in the way that May ran the report versus the way Kim did. So no intention to conceal any information, Martin. I'm sorry. I'll talk to Ming about running it differently.
Okay, so in the future, Kristen, that description will be back in there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. And Councillor Cal, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment that we're frequently asked to have these types of discussions before a meeting, and this is certainly the type of discussion that could have been had in front of a meeting instead of making accusations at staff that perhaps they're doing something nefarious, when obviously it was just a simple mistake.
Yep, I think that's correct, but anyway, we can, that is reiterated to council, and all councillors, I'm sure, will take that information at heart. If there are any concerns, I have always found staff very agreeable to addressing your concerns. Okay. Yes, Jill, go ahead.
All right, I just wanted to say Arnie was here in case there were any questions for the building report, but nobody had requested that to be pulled out. So unless there's something that someone wants to know, I think Arnie's got another meeting to.
Okay, yeah, he advises of that prior to the council. Arnie, we wish you well in your next meeting, and we like to see those $1 million numbers in our municipality. So keep bringing them to us. Okay.
Thank you. Talk again.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, Jill, just refresh me. Where are we? We have accepted the consent agenda with the exception of those items being pulled out. Correct?
Yes, if you would like to take a motion to go into committee of adjustment, then we can have that meeting.
Okay. So we're on number 6 on the agenda. It is recommended that Southwest Middlesex move into committee of adjustment in order considering planning applications that are on your agenda. And we'll move in at 7:09. Is there a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Bartlett, Councillor Vink. At 7:09, we move into committee of adjustment. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. We call the meeting to order at 7:09. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Council, is there any pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. I don't see any hands, so we'll move on. The minutes of the last meeting have been circulated, the minutes of September 29th. Is there a mover and a seconder to adopt that? Thank you, Councillor Cowell. A seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Scholdice. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. We are now into the Committee of Adjustment. Stephanie, could you introduce this application and the purpose and results of your study?
I can, thank you. I'm just gonna share my screen. Give it a moment. There we go. So the purpose and effect of the application for consent is to sever a residential parcel of land with an area of approximately 0.416 hectares or 1.03 acres. Did you hear that by any chance? I did get a notice that my internet was unstable. You did hear the 1.03 acres? Okay, good. So the severance would be from an existing property known municipally as both 20589 and 20601 Melbourne Road or County Road 9. The lands proposed to be severed contain a single detached dwelling and are highlighted on yellow on your screen and are serviced by a privately owned well and a privately owned septic system and have an existing access off of Melbourne Road. And the lands proposed to be retained would have a frontage of approximately 546.5 meters along Riverside Drive and an area of 73.3 hectares or 180.97 acres. And this parcel contains a single detached dwelling known municipally as 20589 Melbourne Road, a detached garage, 2 barns, and agricultural land and crop production, as well as some woodlands. And the severed lands are also serviced by a privately owned well and septic system and have an existing access off of Melbourne Road. The provincial policy statement, the County of Middlesex official plan, and the Southwest Middlesex official plan generally permit lot creation within agricultural areas to dispose of a dwelling surplus to a farming operation as a result of farm consolidation, subject to evaluation criteria. Staff are of the opinion that the application is consistent with the PPS and in conformity with the county and Southwest Middlesex official plans, as the applicant has demonstrated farm consolidation and the proposed severed lot is considered to be an appropriate size to accommodate the dwelling and the services. Additionally, in examining the consent application, staff have taken into consideration new dwellings, farm buildings, agricultural land loss, water supply, sanitary waste disposal, vehicular access, proximity to neighboring livestock operations, as well as the lot frontage, size, and depth as per the Southwest Middlesex official plan. Staff do note that both the lands to be severed and the lands to be retained contain an existing dwelling in this case. And since within the existing zoning provisions, only one dwelling is permitted per property, a rezoning application to prohibit the construction of a new dwelling on the remnant agricultural lands is not considered necessary as part of this application. So generally, staff is satisfied that the criteria of a severance of a surplus farm residence have been met or can be appropriately addressed through the conditions of consent. The application has been circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and staff received the following comments. Hydro 1 noted no comments or concerns. The Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority noted no objections to the proposal and also noted that the property in question is subject to the authority's development and alteration to watercourses portion of the regulations. The issue of concern in this area is the natural watercourse and several tributaries, their associated ravine features, stable slopes, and erosion. An application from the Lower Thames office is required prior to any works or construction taking place within the regulated area. And they also advise that the subject property is located in an area within a highly vulnerable aquifer and significant groundwater recharge area, as identified through the Lower Thames Valley Assessment Reports in the Thames, Sydenham, and Region Source Protection Region. And the county engineer required that as a condition of consent, that the owner be required to dedicate lands up to 18 meters from the center line of construction of County Road 9 or Melbourne Road across the severed and retained parcels to the County of Middlesex for the purposes of road widening if the right-of-way is not already to that width to the satisfaction of the County of Middlesex. So it is recommended that the consent application be granted, subject to the conditions before you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, very much. I'll get back to full screen here. And yes, thank you for your report. I will ask Jill a few questions here in relationship to the order of the meeting. Jill, are there any applicants' remarks present?
Yes, I think we have the agent speaking on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you. Welcome. How are you doing? Thank you very much for coming to our meeting.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you very much, and Council.
Yep. Joe, you make yourself at home and convey any information you wish to Council and the public.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are in support of the application. Obviously, I'm here to speak on behalf of the applicants and answer any questions. We are in agreement with the planner's report and the conditions, and appreciate all the work that staff have put into this application. I'll make myself available to answer any questions that committee members may have, but that is all my submissions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, any questions you'd like to direct through the chair to Mr. Hens? Yes, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. My question is to the agent. Is your applicant satisfied that the wastewater and the well are both located on that proposed 1 acre parcel?
Yes, they are, Deputy Mayor. We will have that confirmed in detail later. Their initial inquiries seem to indicate that both are located within the boundaries, but we will be providing further evidence of that to satisfy that condition.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Council, again, the chair's invitation to ask any questions to Mr. Hens. Seeing none, Joe, we will move on. There is, Joe, another opportunity for you to speak. So if you hear anything you want to address, there will be an opportunity to voice your concern should anything pop up. Members, we got members' remarks at present. It's, I know you have following Joe's, we've got that. I don't think one last call for questions there. Then we are into both oral and written submissions. Jill, have you received any?
No, not for this application. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. I had to ask. Council, as you are aware, in order to offer everyone a chance to express an opinion on that, there is a comment recess. We will, it's 7:18, and we will reconvene at 7:23. And that will allow the public to offer any additional comments. Jill, thank you very much for looking after that. If you'd change the screen, and I'll see you at 7:23. Yeah. Council, we're just about ready to reconvene. There's a few faces I'm missing on the screen, but they may be choosing to do that. So I think we can begin. Jill, thank you very much for doing that. Were there any oral submissions received, Jill?
No registrants to speak to this application.
Thank you very much. Applicants' final remarks. Mr. Hentz, any concerns you wish to express, or have we been through it?
We've been through it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. The committee, we now, it's our responsibility to make a decision on this. We have a recommendation to accept the planner's recommendation subject to the 13 conditions listed. Councillor Kell, will you move that?
I will.
Thank you. And a seconder for that? Councillor Scholdice, thank you. Committee, any questions? Failing which, I'll call the question. All in favor? Please raise your hand. Carried. Thank you. And Joe, thank you. We have some zoning to go through at the back in our regular meeting, but other than that, we're just about there.
Thank you.
Future meetings, committees, subject to change, November 24th. And we will adjourn this committee meeting at 7:25. Council, if I could have a motion that Southwest Middlesex Council, we return to the public meeting rather. We're now in the zoning aspect of this, Stephanie, and if you could give us the purpose and effect of the application zoning bylaw, you can walk us through that.
Thank you. So the applicants have submitted a concurrent rezoning application for the previous consent file we just discussed. And the proposal is to rezone the severed parcel from the general agricultural zone to the rural residential zone to recognize the residential use of the lot and to limit the permitted uses. And that would be the dwelling for 20601 Melbourne Road. So staff are in support of this and recommend that it be granted in principle, limited to first and second reading of the zoning bylaw, the third reading to come with the registration of the plan to be submitted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie, very much. Again, the applicant will be allowed the opportunity to speak to the application if they so wish. If I don't hear anything, I will move on. Yeah, Joe, you okay? Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Council, any remarks from council you wish to direct to Mr. Hentz? I don't see any hands. Jill, have there been any oral or written submissions?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a comment recess at the present time. We will reconvene at 7:32. And Jill, thank you for looking after that. Thank you, Council, for your return. Have there been any oral submissions from other participants? Jill?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Applicant's final remark. Joe, I think you've covered it all. We are at Council's decision that the rezoning application, which proposes to sever the parcel, be created. First and second reading is given, and that final reading will be provided once the deposited reference plans have been received. May I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Vink and Councillor Bartlett, thank you very much. Discussion? All in favor? Unanimously passed. Joe, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council and staff.
Stephanie, 7B, could you walk us through the purpose and effect of the rezoning bylaw here?
I can, thank you. The purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application is to rezone the subject lands from the residential first density holding provision zone to the residential second density holding provision zone in order to permit the construction of a 292.98 square meter or approximately 3,154 square foot 2-unit dwelling subsequent to the construction of John Street and the installation of municipal services. The subject lands are approximately 0.36 acres in size and are vacant of any buildings or structures. The subject lands are currently unserviced and abut an unopened road allowance that forms the extension of John Street in Glencoe. The subject lands are designated residential within the Southwest Middlesex official plan and are zoned residential first density, as mentioned, within the zoning bylaw. The holding provision on the subject lands generally applies to undeveloped lands for residential purposes in settlement areas, and removal of the holding provision is contingent upon the owner entering into a subdividers or similar agreement with the municipality to address the installation of services, the construction of roads, and other developer obligations and responsibilities. As such, the proposed R2 zone would also include this holding provision until the agreements and the works have been addressed. It is noted that the subject lands are one of 8 lots abutting an unopened portion of John Street, whereby the owners have petitioned for municipal improvements under the Municipal Act. The municipality continues to work with the property owners in regards to the establishment of the construction of John Street and the extension of municipal services. And again, the holding provision will remain in place until the works have been completed. Staff are of the opinion that the proposal is considered to be consistent with the provincial policy statement and in conformity with the county and Southwest Middlesex official plans, as development is encouraged within settlement area boundaries on full municipal services. Staff note that the subject lands are on an existing lot of record that are designated for residential purposes within the official plan. Staff are of the opinion that the requested zone change will maintain conformity with the residential policies within the official plan, as 2-unit dwelling is being proposed, which is considered to be a low density form of housing, and low density forms of housing are considered to be the primary and predominant use in the residentially designated areas of Glencoe. Staff are of the opinion that the proposed use will remain consistent with the character of the surrounding area. And it is noted that the proposed 2-unit dwelling will maintain the appearance of a single detached dwelling, in that the building proposed would have the main unit on the main floor and a subsequent dwelling unit on the lower floor. It will still maintain the appearance of a single detached from the outside. It is also noted that it is quite common within the settlement area of Glencoe to have properties of R2 zoning that do abut the R1 zoning, as both contain permitted uses that are considered to be relatively low density within the official plan. The applicant has provided a detailed concept plan for the proposed 2-unit dwelling, and staff are of the opinion that the concept plan as proposed appears to meet the zoning criteria for the residential second density zone, as well as the parking standards of 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit for a total of 3 spaces. It is noted that the application has been circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and staff received the following comment. Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority has no objections to the proposal. And subsequent to writing the subject report, staff did receive comments from the public, which will be addressed in the written submissions portion, as well as the oral submissions portion of the meeting. Subsequent to writing the planning report, staff did prepare a bylaw for council's consideration for the proposal of a site-specific R2 zone that would limit the permitted uses to the following. So duplex, semi-detached, single unit dwelling, a converted dwelling, and a 2-unit dwelling. The uses that are omitted from the proposed zone change would be a group home, a bed and breakfast, and a boarding or rooming home. And it is recommended that the site-specific zoning as proposed in the amended bylaw be granted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for that introduction into the subject. The applicant will be allowed the opportunity to speak. I understand that we have Tim Zavitz on the phone to us. Tim, can you hear some audio there? Or we'll let Jill tie into him. Yeah, just take your mute button off there, Tim. We might hear you.
Hello?
Yes, I hear you now, Tim. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Perfect. I'd like to just take this time to thank Stephanie for her work on this, and I'm just here tonight to answer any questions anybody might have.
Okay. Well, Tim, you hang in with us there. There are a couple of opportunities, actually 2 opportunities for you to speak, Tim. So we certainly appreciate you being here. And if there are any questions, we will get back to you. Can we move on from now and move on in the agenda then?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there, Council, are there any questions you wish to address to Stephanie or Tim at this point through the chair? I'll give you a minute. Watch your hands. Yes, Councillor Vink, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Al, to Stephanie and possibly to Tim. What about, there's going to be development costs to develop the rest of John Street. Will Mr. Zavitz have to pay extra development costs since it's 2 units going on a lot?
That question may have to be responded to by Jill or Greg. Stephanie, do you feel somewhat uncomfortable addressing that? You're a planner, you're not a developer. And Jill, would you like to take a stab at it?
Oh, sure. So you're speaking about the local improvement charges process, Councillor Vink?
Yes, that's Jill.
Right. Okay. So that process does envision that the benefiting property owners are the ones to pay for the cost, and it's based on a calculation associated with frontage.
Okay. Yeah, as most are.
Primarily frontage. So there are special benefits charges, but initially the charge is really related to the frontage, and the special benefits has more to do with other aspects. So hope that answers the question as best I can tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Martin. Yes, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, I thought I saw your hand up there. Go ahead, Mary Gay.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I'm just wondering if Tim can or has the ability to share the plans for the development on this lot, proposed development on this lot.
I think he's on a phone, so he will, I don't believe he'll have that opportunity. Jill, can you clarify that, or do you have them available?
No, I don't have them, but Stephanie does, I believe.
Okay, great. Yep, there they are. Okay. Council, yeah, and Tim, if you're still with us, if there's any explanation of this you can give us, we'd appreciate it.
Yep. I can't. Did they put a picture up of the house?
Yeah, you can't see this, can you? No, that's
I can't see it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but yeah, it's up before us now, and Stephanie, you're very correct in that it does have a single family appeal to the vision of it, doesn't it? Eh? Yeah. In fact, it would be hard to tell the difference. Yeah. Okay, I think that has answered the question. Last call for questions, Council. Mark, go ahead. Councilor McGill.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Through the mayor to Tim, could a building like that have two separate owners?
At this point, no. I would say no.
Okay.
So it would either be the owner living in one part and renting out the other part, or possibly somebody owning it and renting out both parts?
Well, possibly, yes. I believe that we're only going to have one sewer service to them, so they wouldn't be able to be severed.
Okay. Good. Any follow-ups, Councilor McGill? Nope.
No,
okay.
Except that sometimes an extra, it could be maybe possibly severed at a later date, depending how it's designed. Yeah. A separate sewer system put in.
This one wouldn't lend itself well to being severed. The other one that we're proposing tonight could be, but again, it would require additional servicing.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Tim. Okay. We can move on to oral submissions. Jill, I understand there are oral submissions from Mr. Mahomans and Mr. Leopold. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We can take them as they appear in the information I have received. Mr. Milhomans, go ahead. Charlie, if you're with us, how are you? And Charlie, just unmute yourself there. Yeah. Almost got you. Yeah, just look for a mute button there. Little red microphone, maybe. Charlie, we're still trying to hear you there. Yep, you're on the screen. If you can unmute, Charlie, we can't hear you at present, but if you can unmute your audio, we'll be able to hear you.
How's that better?
Yep, you're good. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Milhomans.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say good evening to everyone, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak regarding the application for rezoning submitted by Mr. Zavitz. Before you tonight are multiple letters we've collected from over half of the property owners who neighbor the subject properties on Stella, Appin Road, Code, and of course, John Street. The points illustrated in the letters clearly demonstrate valid reasons why council should deny this rezoning application. I am before you tonight to share with you the impact that an approval decision will have on people. Your decision today will directly affect not only current property owners, but future ones too. My wife Bonnie and I purchased property on John Street to build our forever home. Many factors came into play when we made the decision to make Glencoe and specifically John Street the place to build and call our home. One of the largest factors being the current zoning of R1. When I read the staff report supporting the rezoning from Ms. Poirier, I was so discouraged that I felt our opinion wouldn't matter. I was so upset that I felt presenting before council tonight was just an exercise of futility. However, that would have been a grave mistake on my part. Regardless of today's outcome, I have a new understanding of how simple it is for someone else to change your entire lifestyle and future you had planned. The rezoning isn't just about fulfilling a provincial or county mandate. It's about how it will impact numerous of individuals who have made it or will make this neighborhood their own. My wife Bonnie and I had expectations of what a single dwelling neighborhood lifestyle would mean, and how those expectations are being threatened by one individual who believes his needs outweigh the many property owners are opposing this rezoning. There's only a total of 12 properties on John Street. 9 of them are empty lots. The recommendation from Ms. Poirier is to grant the rezoning of 2 of the empty lots to R2 from the current R1, which is outlined in the Southwest Middlesex official plan. This is what I have a hard time understanding. I'm not ignorant to the fact that municipalities need a mixture of densities, but why on such a small street? I can't believe there aren't better locations zoned R2 where Mr. Zavitz can happily build his family multifamily dwellings. Your decisions today will ultimately impact our decision if Glencoe indeed is the place we thought it was. If the decision is to grant the rezoning of 2 lots, it sets precedents for the same to be done on all other lots on this street. This small street is now an invitation to having numerous multifamily dwellings, and that completely changes the landscape of the street, the conformity of neighboring streets, and most importantly, the lifestyles many of us expected when we purchased the property. In conclusion, I want to make it perfectly clear that you have the power to make us believe that democratic processes work, that the provincial and county mandates can be upheld by moving to a more appropriate area in town. You have the power to take stand and say this is not the best solution for this street. You have the power to make it right and to leave the zoning as planned for in your official plan. You have the power to say, no, we won't change the lifestyles the current property owners expect when they purchase their property. You have the power to stop John Street from potential concerns that come with non-ownership occupied properties. You have the power to agree with the majority of owners on John Street and neighboring properties who are not in favor of this zoning change. You have the power. Please use it wisely. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Holmans. We have a second oral submission as well from Richard Leopold. Richard, are you with us this evening? And call for you again. Richard, if you can unmute yourself, I see your name on my screen. And if you just check your audio there, your audio, I think, yep, you're getting close, I think. Yes, speak up. Yeah, you're faint, Richard, but we can hear you.
Okay, I just expressed the same views as Charlie, and I was part of the 2 of us going around to the neighbors to ask for their opinions on the submission, and had a couple of people that just didn't want to sign one way or the other, but everyone else was against it. And I didn't realize we'd be dealing with these separately, because I understand there's another property 1 or 2 over that there would be 2 separate duplexes built, which would have obviously separate services. And I find that disappointing that someone could possibly be allowed to hook up 2 services, but only pay based on the frontage as expressed by Jill. I would think that would be more unfair to all the other people who had to pay to open up the street. And then it goes back to parking and the rental units. You tend to have a lot more vehicles to park in the area. And I heard it's expressed something about it was to be allowed for 3 cars, 1.5 1.5 per unit. I don't know how you split that up. For parking in the existing unit we're speaking to now. And just wondering where that gets handled and or in future is if there's difficulties with extra cars sitting around at these rental units, where do you express your displeasure with that? I guess, like I say, listening to Charlie, he pretty much covered the bases on the rest of it. People in here in the area, you know, came in to build single family houses. And that's what they had hoped for. And with the submissions of the neighbors that are against changing the R1 zoning, it's just not something that's popular within the neighborhood. Thank you for taking your time to listen to our submissions.
Thank you, Richard. I believe, Joel, that completes the oral submissions. Advise me otherwise, but at this time, we'll call on Denny to advise us of any written submissions. Denny, I understand you have some there, do you?
Yep, we do.
Okay, if you could begin the process, you have the floor, Denny.
So Donna Lane at 273 Stella Ave submitted the following letter addressed to Jill Belchamber Glazier, Clerk of Southwest Middlesex, regarding zoning application bylaw amendment P13 2021. I wish to file my objection to the above noted zoning amendment. I live at 273 Stella Ave, Glencoe, Ontario. The area was zoned R1 for a reason. Money, effort, and time was spent to develop the official plan. I bought knowing that single-family homes would be built on those lots behind me. Mr. Zavitz knew when he purchased the lots that they were deemed as single-family lots. There are numerous other plans of subdivision throughout the municipality with R2 zoning available for Mr. Zavitz. Speculating on being able to change the zoning should not be rewarded. This will seriously alter the character of the neighborhood, our official plan clearly states. A wide variety of housing types and tenors shall be encouraged and supported to meet the needs, affordability, and preferences of existing and future residents, which is compatible with the scale and character of the existing community. The official plan's goals and objectives include to provide a rationale and consistent basis for actions and decisions on all matters relating to the use of land, development, redevelopment, and physical improvement. To implement the provisions of the provincial policy statement to establish the desired type, form, intensity, character, and pattern of land use, to maintain the essential qualities of privacy, quiet enjoyment, public health and safety, and land use compatibility in residential areas. Changing the zoning will not fulfill the above noted goals and objectives. It contravenes them in every aspect. Once you allow 2 lots to be rezoned, you open the floodgates to the possibility that all remaining lots could face the same rezoning application. How do you deny any future such applications? Most single-family homes are 2-car homes. Some may have additional vehicles, cars or motorcycles. If there are other licensed drivers, children or grandparents also residing there, add an additional family per lot, and the vehicle traffic automatically doubles. In real terms, the 8 existing lots as single-family homes could potentially add a minimum of 16 vehicles. Opening up the lots to semi-detached housing would double the minimum potential to 32. There are 2 means of access to John Street, Stella Ave, where I live, and Code Street. The community mailboxes are less than 30 feet from the edge of my property. So not only will regular street traffic increase in front of my home, but added traffic flow from the use of the mailboxes. My street is made up of mostly young families, with a few others retired like myself. Strollers are often in the street, as are the children with their bicycles or walking to and from school or the bus stop. I myself have walked in the street using a mobility device when recovering from a knee surgery. Several other senior neighbors also use mobility devices when getting exercise, as we have no sidewalks. The increased traffic flow will make this a dangerous street. You will no longer be providing us with the essential qualities of privacy, quiet enjoyment, public health and safety, and land use and compatibility with our residential area. It is historically recorded that increasing the traffic flow will decrease property values between 6 and 16%. Potential buyers looking at single detached homes tend to avoid areas with multi-unit residences nearby. Many semi-detached homes are and become rental units, not owner-occupied, and evidence shows rental units are not, as a rule, well-maintained, which decrease the neighboring property's values. Please follow the official plan. It was developed for a reason. The proposed zoning amendment contravenes the plan itself, as well as its goals and objectives. It is not compatible with the scale and character of the existing community. It does not maintain the essential qualities of privacy, quiet enjoyment, public health and safety, and land use compatibility in this residential area. Signed, Donna Lane. We further received the following individuals all submitted the same letter of written comments individually signed. Adrian and Rita Christian at 281 Stella Ave. Bob Young and Judy Dakins, 280 Code Street. Carol G, 278 Code Street. Carol Todd, 271 Code Street. David McDonald, 238 Appen Road. Drew Layfield, 273 Code Street. Gary and Maria Mulready, 275 Stella Ave. Catherine Huxon, 220 Appen Road. Mike and Kim Bradford, 281 Code Street and 232 John Street. Richard Lepold, 231 John Street. Terrence Visser, 272 Code Street. Charlie and Bonnie Milhomans, Lot 7, John Street. Scott and Tara Tack, 240 Appen Road and Lot 35, John Street.
Okay, Denny.
Sorry, Mayor. I will read the letter from that group of individuals.
Yep, go ahead.
October 21st, 2021, regarding application for zoning bylaw amendment P13 and P14, 2021. Dear Mayor and Councilors, before you is an application from Mr. Timothy Zavitz to rezone lots 30 and 36 on John Street in Glencoe, Southwest Middlesex, from residential first density holding to residential second density holding. As neighboring property owners and primary interested stakeholders, we ask that Council deny the application. Our opposition to this application is based on a number of factors. Number one, land purchases based on current zoning. John Street is a relatively small street with only 12 lots. Many of the landowners purchased the lots with the understanding that this area was zoned R11, intended for single detached homes. Changing zoning at this time could negatively impact the expected lifestyle and neighborhood character that these taxpayers anticipated when choosing to make Glencoe and this subdivision their home. Number two, does not conform to subdivision character. The Southwest Middlesex official plan confirms that John Street and neighboring streets such as Stella Ave, Code Street, and Appen Road are zoned R11. Approving this zoning change on John Street to allow semi-detached dwellings and duplexes will change the intention of this single detached home subdivision and could significantly lower the property values of the neighboring homes. The roadways were also built to accommodate single detached home traffic, not the extra cars and parking required for semi-detached or duplex dwellings. Number three, the uncertainty. Your zoning bylaw number 2015-066, 6.1 and 6.11 clearly state that changing to an R2 zoning provision would allow not only semi-detached dwellings, as Mr. Zavitz has indicated would be his intention for these lots, but also open the door to bed and breakfast establishments, duplexes, group homes, boarding houses, and rooming houses. We understand these dwellings can be of benefit to the community, and we know they can also be accommodated in other areas of the municipality that have not been yet zoned R1. We do not support not in my backyard attitudes, as we are contributing members to this community. What we ask is that you uphold your initial intention for the subdivision with an R11 zoning provision. Number four, rental units. Approving the rezoning can also bring the complexities of rental units versus owner-occupied homes. There is a greater risk that these non-owner occupied semi-detached dwellings are being built as an investment property and will be rented out. While this accommodation might benefit one, it certainly does not benefit the majority of homeowners on John Street and surrounding properties. We stand strong together as property taxpayers, Glencoe residents, and community members, and formally request that this council deny the application for rezoning. In addition to that letter, we received an email from Scott and Tara Tack at 238 Appen Road. We are writing this letter in regard to rezoning application P14 2021 by 1822039 Ontario Inc., care of Timothy Zavitz, and P13-2021 Timothy Zavitz to rezone these two lots from residential first density holding to residential second density holding. We are the owner of the lot which sits in between these two properties, and our home is on the lot in which the backyard attaches kitty corner to both these properties. We bought both of these properties knowing that all properties in this area are zoned residential first. We are against the bylaw change and feel these lots should stay as residential first density, holding as all the homes around these properties are single family homes, and we would not have purchased these properties otherwise. With the beautiful new homes on Stella and hopefully soon on John Street, we feel that having two residential second density holding buildings will lower property and home value in an area that is zoned residential first density. Thank you for your consideration, Scott and Taratak.
Does that complete the written submissions, Denny?
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much. Jill, we're at a point of comment recess to allow any other additional remarks. We will reconvene at 8:08, and I'll allow you to change the screen there, Jill. Welcome back. Welcome back, Council. Thank you. Jill, following the comment recess, have there been any other oral submissions?
No, no one else registered to speak to the
Okay.
application.
Thank you very much. We're at a stage where the applicant's final remarks. Tim, thank you for sticking with us on this. You're on the phone. This gives you the opportunity to address any concerns that may have been raised or inform council of any other opinion you have.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, perfect. If you look at the plans that I've provided, I think you'll see that there's adequate parking. Both places have 4-car garages. I mean, I don't think that the traffic is going to be an issue, but I mean, we could always do a traffic study, but I'm pretty sure I know how that would come back. Yeah, I've just asked that you support the application.
Okay, council, I'm sure there may be, I'm going to, Tim, if you could stay with us momentarily, because of some of the comments raised, there may be questions from council, and I want to make sure that we have a fulsome discussion on this before we make this decision. Council, are there any questions you'd like to address, Tim, through the chair? Councillor Vink, I see your hand up, followed by Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Go ahead, Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. To Tim, when you bought these lots, did you consider putting up single-family houses on them?
No, I was, from the time I only bought them this year, and we had our application in shortly after they closed. For the reason.
So you
5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago, we built Ann Crescent, and I've been looking for more land similar to that, and it hasn't come up. We've had, ever since that building was built, numerous people wanting similar units to that. So that's what my intention was.
Okay. Any follow-up, Martin?
Well, I just wondered if you don't mind, Mayor Allen. So why would you consider 2 units instead of 1? Like you have 1 on Ann. So you're what the
Ann is a semi as well. It's a 2-unit building.
Yeah, but you're applying for 2 different lots here. So you're duplicating the situation.
Well, we're dealing with one application at a time, Councillor Vink. We'll go on to we'll go on to 7C, but we're dealing with one particular application here. The other application has not been brought to the table yet. So let's deal with this one. What Mr. Zavitz is referring to is Ann Crescent. And I believe what he's proposing is similar to Ann Crescent. And I believe that Ann Crescent is a street with 9 lots, I believe, approximately 9 lots. And Tim, the length of that street would be similar to John or shorter, would it be? But I think there's no more than 9 to 10 lots. I'm familiar with that street, and I think there's an educated guess is 9 and possibly no more than 10. And you're right, the unit that Mr. Zavitz owns, Councillor Vink, is a semi-detached home, and it is a rental, I believe. Tim, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor Wilkins, go ahead.
Oh, so can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I cut off my video. I'm going to go ahead. Mayor Mayhew, this is through you to Jill. I think she's the one that could probably answer this question. Yeah, okay, thank you. So considering that we have a report before us tonight from our planner that clearly recommends that the zoning change be granted for reasons provided. If there's an appeal after tonight's decision, how would that affect the development of John Street, and what would that do to the local improvement charges? Thank you.
Okay, Jill, if you could take a stab at that, it'd be appreciated.
Sure. So if there was an appeal, I suppose either way, to the decision of council, then I would expect that that would put, so the local improvement charges process is in play. The tendering for the works as the engineered design has was originally proposed is on the market. If there is a delay and the design change that is being proposed is unclear, then there would be new costs associated with the works for engineering, and probably puts a delay in the process. I will say, and just I got the question from Councillor Vink, and I think if I can, Mayor Mayhew, just to reiterate, so the way the costing goes out on local improvement charges is related to frontage. The engineer, we did reach out to the engineer who's done the original design. They can update the design, but that is a new additional cost. So it does get spread out amongst everyone for the new design for the servicing, just so people are clear about that as well.
Okay, thank you, Jill. So it will encumber additional costs on those owners. Okay, got it. Council, any further questions you'd like to ask Mr. Zavitz? Mary Gay, you're okay? No follow-ups?
No, I'm
All
good.
right.
Thank you. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Greg, I didn't see your hand, just scratching your nose there, I think. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Last call for questions. And Stephanie, from a planning perspective, Stephanie, you're convinced that this meets the criteria from a planning perspective. And yes, I'll be right with you, Councillor McGill. But obviously, there are some concerns, and you've well documented that. Councillor McGill, go ahead. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Yep. Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. This question through the mayor is either for Stephanie or Jill, whichever one feels they would like to answer it. If whatever decision we make tonight was appealed to a higher level, how would that likely go? Because it sounds like this meets, it conforms to the legislation. And so does that mean if it was appealed to a higher level, it would probably just get granted?
Yes, I see Jill's hand first. Stephanie's thinking there. Jill, go ahead. Thank you very much for addressing Councillor McGill's question.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Mayhew. Councillor McGill, I'm not sure that we could prejudge what a tribunal's decision would be if it were to be appealed. So I don't know that we could speculate on that. I suppose what they look for is planning rationale primarily, but I'm not sure that we could make any kind of a statement either way about what might happen if an appeal were to be made.
Okay. No crystal balls, Mark. Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought I might hear, but
yeah,
thought I'd ask anyway.
Okay. All right. Again, the chair will call for any other questions. Seeing none, It is now our decision. There is a recommendation before you, and it's our responsibility to accept or deny the recommendation. What is council's wish? Okay, the chair will call it again. There is a recommendation before you. Would someone
I'll
entertain?
move the recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Wilkins. Is there a seconder, council? We're looking for a seconder. Councilor McGill, thank you. Okay, it is the recommendation is.
I'd like a recorded vote.
It's been moved and seconded. And to support the recommendation, and a recorded vote has been requested. Jill, I'll hand it over to you to call it at your leisure.
Okay, so we will start with Deputy Mayor Mary Gay Wilkins,
Yes.
Mayor Mayhew,
Yes.
Councillor Mark McGill,
Yes.
Councillor Krista Cowell,
No.
Councillor Martin Vink,
No.
Councillor Doug Bartlett,
Sorry, yes.
Councillor Mike Scholdice,
Sorry about that. No.
so it is 4-3 in favor, so the motion passes.
Thank you, council. Stephanie, if you can introduce us to this application, the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw, we would appreciate it.
My new map open here, and I'll share my screen with you. And begin. So similarly to the previous application, the purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment application is to rezone the subject lands from the residential first density holding provision zone to the residential second density holding provision zone in order to permit the construction of a 585.96 square meter or approximately 6,307 square foot semi-detached dwelling. So approximately 3,153.5 square feet per dwelling unit, subsequent to the construction of John Street and the installation of municipal services. Staff note that the subject lands are a vacant lot that is an existing lot of record that is designated residentially within the official plan. The official plan does contemplate low forms of density housing to be the predominant use within the settlement area, and staff are the opinion that the proposed semi-detached is consistent and compatible with the low density forms of housing in the area. And similarly to the previous application, the applicant has provided a detailed concept plan that I will be happy to share with you for the semi-detached dwelling. And the application has been circulated in accordance to the requirements of the Planning Act, and staff received the following comment. So the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority had no objections to the proposal. It is also noted that staff did receive the same written submissions received from the previous application for this application as well. And subsequent to writing the subject report, staff prepared a bylaw to rezone the lands to a site-specific R2 zone, again to limit the permitted uses to exclude the permission for group homes, rooming or boarding home, and bed and breakfast. And so therefore staff recommend that the site-specific R2 zone be granted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie.
And on the screen in front of you is the proposed dwelling for the semi-detached. So I'll leave that up for a couple seconds in case there's a delay. Does everyone see it on their screen?
Yes, thank you.
Do? All right. And I can certainly pull that back up if need be.
Okay, thank you. Tim, once again, Mr. Zavitz will call on you. The applicant will be allowed the opportunity to speak on this this build. Would you like to inform council?
The one, oh, am I there now?
Yep, yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah,
yep,
perfect.
you're
the
good,
one
Tim.
thing I'm going to note, the size of that semi is incorrect in the application. It's about 1,400 square feet aside, about 2,800 square feet total of finished space.
Okay. Make note of that.
I had some concerns that it was going to be so large when I was talking with a few of the neighbors.
Okay. I'll make note of that. Any additional remarks, Tim, or stay on? There'll be another.
No, I'm here.
Okay, and
yep.
we'll move on. Are there any oral submissions of delegates, Jill, on this application? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed members' remarks. Council, it's our opportunity to speak. Yes, thank you, Councillor Cowell. Go ahead.
Through the chair to the applicant, in the initial report, when it had said it was very large, was the intention of having two different styles of proposed dwelling because you were looking at different types of tenants? And what my question really means is, are you looking at having families in this one in comparison to looking at the Ann Street example, which was more geared towards retirement? So is this a geared towards retirement, or is this geared towards families with increased bedrooms that could bring children to the area?
So these are geared towards seniors, I would say, similar to what Ann Crescent is. That seems to be what most of the call is for the rental stock like that.
Okay. Thank you. Good question, Councillor Cowell. Council, any further questions you'd like to address through the chair to Tim or Stephanie? Yes, Councillor Vink, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I know you touched on this, Tim, and this one would be quite a bit easier to sever than the other one. Is that correct?
It would be, but it would require me adding an additional sewer service. Right now, my understanding is that there's only going to be one sewer service per lot, so it would just cost more to do later, that's all.
Okay. Yes, Jill, thank you for coming in. Go ahead, Jill.
Yeah, so maybe I'll push it over to Greg, but in terms of the engineering design, I'm not sure that we confirmed ever that it's only one particular service, correct, Greg?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Allen. No, typically in these particular situations, we would want the services isolated so that what problem and when doesn't affect the other side. So we have worked with engineers and how to do that moving forward, but I have certainly made a note to talk to the engineer with regards to these units, because just one service going in can cause a whole lot of problems for a whole lot of people if it's not isolated.
Yes, thank you, Greg, for that. If one is blocked, the other resident would have not a facility as well. Okay, Jill, thank you. Continue.
Yep. So, and just so we're clear, the question that was asked at the time of the application by the planner was whether or not the engineering design could accommodate this, and that's all we got an answer on. We got an answer to say that the design could be adjusted based on the decision if council opts to move forward with the applications.
Okay. All right. Yes, Councillor Vink, second question. Go ahead.
Yes, just a clarification from Greg. Would that hold true for the first severance that was approved? Well, in my way of thinking, it should have been mentioned when we, prior to voting on that severance.
I think it's good engineering. If you have more than one unit, you would want to accommodate that both have, if a sanitary failed, it wouldn't affect the other homeowner. It would certainly cause for some ill feelings. But Greg, you want to address that anymore? Or?
No, just that we would speak with the engineer with regards to this. There are ways to do this. It doesn't mean that you have two separate connections to the main lines, but you certainly have to provide some type of isolation beyond that point. And we do work with the engineers to make that happen and make it happen in an efficient manner. When we're asked that question, and all the ones that we've approved in town prior to and the last bit have been so that servicing is isolated. So just so that we don't have one building and one problem. So and Jill had mentioned earlier that this would be a change in the original engineering. So that obviously has to happen.
And Jill, yes, continue.
And maybe we'll just ask Stephanie to just speak maybe a little bit more about the difference between the two applications and the type of units for the rezoning.
Sure. So the previous application was for a 2-unit dwelling, whereby the applicant has proposed a split that is horizontally. So there is a main floor, and then there is a unit in the basement of that dwelling. Whereas this current application is a semi-detached, so the units are split vertically. So they're side by side. The previous one were up and down from each other.
Okay. Any follow-up on that, Jill, at all? Or you all right? Okay.
Thanks.
Council, I don't want to miss anyone at the table. Any other questions you'd like to address to Tim or Stephanie? Councillor Cowell, go ahead, and followed by Councillor Bartlett. I saw Councillor Cowell's hand first. Doug?
Well, the other question I have is in mind with a retirement style living. In previous applications that we've seen, we've looked at variances for lot lines and things like that, because oftentimes yard maintenance isn't something that lifestyle wants to have. They'd rather have more floor space than yard space. And is that something that we'll see here with that? Not that it necessarily impacts the decision. I'm just wondering if we're going to be back and have another chance to talk about this.
Yeah. I think the lot sizes have been established, but Tim, if you can clarify that, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, the lot size won't be changing.
I'm sorry.
I think we confirm.
Yeah.
It isn't the lot size that I was inquiring about. It was the setbacks associated with lot lines as a result of, in most cases, setbacks are required for yards, but oftentimes we will allow for smaller setbacks or smaller yards because of a type of house.
Yeah, no, we aren't requesting any changes from the regular setbacks.
Okay, Stephanie, I see your hand fluttering there, but I'm going to have to go with Doug. He's been patient enough to wait. Councillor Bartlett, please go ahead. followed by our planner, Stephanie Poirier. Go ahead, Doug.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. Through you to Tim. The design on this second one looks very similar to Ann Crescent. Is it the same design or very close?
Ann Crescent's a little bit wider. We had more width space there. We've built these units for other customers in London for about the last 10 years. And they're really popular with retirees.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Stephanie, thank you for your patience, sir. Go ahead.
No problem. I was just going to add, perhaps for further clarification to Councillor Cowell's question. The applicant has provided a concept plan. I'll show you. I can share that with you. And staff have reviewed the proposed setbacks to the existing lot lines as is, as well as the parking spaces provided for zoning conformity. I just wanted to share that. So as proposed currently, no variances are required or site-specific setbacks.
Yep, thank you. Yep. Thank you, Councillor Cowell, for your question. Thank you, Stephanie, for addressing it. Okay, I think we've been around the table for those councillors. Yes, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I don't remember the year. Tim could probably jump in here. I know it was last term when Tim was before us at that time for a zoning change on Ann Crescent. And at that time, there's a few councillors here that will remember that there were neighbors surrounding that property that were in fact at our meeting in person. And they had the same concerns that we're hearing tonight. So my question through you, Mayor Mayhew, is to Jill. Jill, have we had any concerns or complaints on the development of Mr. Zavitz's semi on Ann Crescent since it's been built?
I'll let Jill speak to that. Yeah, go ahead, Jill.
Thanks. Not that I'm aware of, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Nor has the mayor received any. Okay, council, I don't want to miss anyone. I think we've been around. We'll move on to oral submissions. Jill, are there any?
So I do believe that we have some of the individuals who spoke at the last application also wish to speak with respect to this application as well. So Mr. Milholman is up on your screen.
Thank you, Mr. Milholman. Welcome again, and please go ahead, sir.
Hi, thanks again. I guess my comments from the earlier still apply to this one, but I do have a couple extra questions. Mayor, you talked about Ann Street and how many lots there were there. Can I ask you, were there any empty lots?
The unit that was built, Mr. Milholman's, no, that was the original home was torn down years ago. That is on the corner of Ann and Concession,
right,
on the east side. And that was an empty lot, and that facility that exists there now was built. I believe the home that was previously there was raised in approximately, I don't know, maybe 2010, 2009, maybe it was taken down.
I guess the point I'm trying to get across is that you're trying to compare Ann Street to John Street. Well, John Street has 9 empty lots. So you're opening the door for other ones to be built, semis and duplexes that don't conform to the R1 zoning. So I have a hard time comparing those two particular streets. They're not the same. You don't have empty lots. You never had empty lots on Ann Street. Anyhow, I'd like to move on to the next one, is the expenses that Mr. Zavitz is going to incur for all of us on John Street. You're telling me that you're going back to the engineer to be able to facilitate his request. Don't want any part of that having to pay that extra cost. How are you going to determine how much more? And not only the cost, but the delay. I'm already waiting over a year, or almost a year come November, for this development to happen, to put services in. We're willing to pay out of our pocket, where a developer usually does that for a development. So now I'm listening to you guys have this chat about having to go back to an engineer to facilitate Mr. Zavitz's request. I'm hoping that somebody puts this down on paper and says, you know what, it's going to cost us an extra 10 grand, 20 grand. Mr. Zavitz should take care of that. I should not be responsible, or anyone else on John Street responsible for those extra fees. So there we go again. And the delay in the process, like I said, we're pushing this way. I'm ignorant of the fact that how long this actually takes. This is new to me, but that's fine. You know, I'm patient to a degree. Like I said, we bought the lot back in November, and we started the petition after, I think it was in the beginning of the year. And we're still going, I think now, Jill, maybe, I haven't been told yet, but did you mention that this is now out for tender?
There's two questions here. One, we'll let Mr. Storms address that costing on that in terms of his inquiry to the engineer. And this may be nothing more than an inquiry. And Jill's, your question towards Jill, I will take them one at a time. Greg, if you're with us, the question raised that your comments made that you would inquire with the engineer. The costing and the sharing of the cost of that, can you clarify that? Is that not going to be borne by everyone in the street, or could you clarify that in any way, Greg?
Well, through you, Mary Ellen, I probably defer that question to Jill. I can certainly speak to the technical part of this, but.
Okay. And Jill, thank you. And the second one, Jill, was you answer the first question first. And Jill, if you'd like to attempt to answer the second following that regarding the where we are in the timeline on tenders.
Right, through you, Mayor Mayhew, the engineer submitted his design work to the Ministry of the Environment, as they are required to provide an updated ECA with respect to stormwater and sanitary, and received final approval from the Ministry in August. So we then were working with the engineer to get the tender onto the market. They were in touch with different contractors, discussing when the best time to get the best price associated with this work would be done. But we confirmed that we're looking for this to be on the market now. So that's our last discussion with the engineer for that work to be on the market. But we have asked the question of him as we received this application, and we're aware that this decision was before council. This is not something that we have asked for any of the tendering to be delayed because of, but have asked the question of how difficult would it be to make a change and whether or not it would require ministry approval again. He confirmed that the ministry would not need to reapprove the project. It would require some redesign depending on the outcome of the decisions from council. But I think that's what I have before you. That said, the process for local improvement charges is spelled out in the Municipal Act. And yeah, we're at the tendering phase for it. If we get the tender results back and they're 110% higher than the engineer's estimate, then there is an ability to have the majority of the property owners, through like a majority being a particular calculation, and the petition for the works.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Milhomans, I don't want to cut you off there. Any further discussion?
I'm sorry, but I don't know if I got the answer to that. Are we incurring an extra expense? I must have missed it because I don't hear a yes or a no, how we're gonna divvy up this extra expense if there is one.
Okay.
If you're going back to the engineer, then I'm assuming he's not doing it for free, I'm sure.
That's correct. Through you, Mayor Mayhew, yeah, the engineer's services to update the design would be at a cost. And if there is additional cost associated with the works, then that would be split out as per the local improvement charges process.
Wait a minute here. So you're telling me that because Mr. Zavitz gets his way and he gets to build these homes and you have to go back so that you can facilitate his request, it's going to cost me extra money? It should be pretty easy for you to figure that out. You already have an idea how much it's going to cost. So by going back to him and he charges you an extra $5,000 to do it, why is that going in my pocket and I have to pay for it? It just doesn't make sense. And I'm hoping the counselors can speak up on this because it really doesn't make sense. Why am I incurring expenses so that he has a better property or he can do what he needs to do?
Council are very often directed, Mr. Milhomans, by legislation. Jill can expand on that much better than any member of council. But to bring this area that I would call stagnant in development, we have gone on almost 3 decades talking about John Street and seeing no development in this community improvement plan is under legislation, and there is a process, and we're merely following the process as it is laid out. Jill, can you expand on that any more? Or I'm sure that we're following a process here.
Yep, the local improvement charges is a process as outlined in the Municipal Act, as I noted, and the way that costs are apportioned is dictated by that legislation. And with respect to the timing of the application, we don't have any ability to prevent the application from Mr. Zavitz. And that's, I suppose that's all I can say. This application is, he's able to make an application, and it'll be up to council to make a determination with respect to that ZBA.
Okay. Jill, I think you've clarified that very well.
Really?
Councillor Cal, thank you for your patience. Councillor Cal, go ahead. If there's a question there, we're running a little out of order here, but go ahead, Councillor Cal. We'll certainly entertain your question there.
Through the mayor to Mr. Milhomans, I wanted to bring this up so that you're a little bit aware of the process. So if we all voted today to not do what Mr. Zavitz wanted, and he could not move forward in the way he initially planned, he could potentially go to the tribunal and have our decision reversed. And so recently, the City of London has been accused of letting the tribunal make the difficult decision that they were unwilling to make. And so even if we chose, and I don't know what the rest of council will do, but even if we chose to do nothing today, it is likely that this would go to the tribunal. And as much as the planner is suggesting that she does not know what will happen, because we are going against our own planner, and this is more of experience that we've seen in the past when we have gone against our own planner, usually a higher body makes us do what we should have done in the first place. And when I say should, I mean follow the recommendations that we've received from from our planners that are in line with our own planning reports. So even if we all voted today not to support Mr. Zavitz, it's likely that he would take this to the tribunal, and the whole process would be further delayed as a result of the bureaucracy that does exist. So, and I'm not saying that is the reason I vote away or not away, but I wanted you to be aware that that is part of the monster that is bureaucracy, unfortunately.
Thank you, Councillor Cal. Okay, Jill, I'm trying to get focused on this. Mr. Milhomans, you're coming to your expiry of time. It's my duty as chair to ask if there's any further oral submissions, Jill. Are there?
Yes, I think Richard Lepole would like to speak as
Okay.
well.
Good. Yeah, Richard, we'll give you a second to get on there. And just say hello when you got some audio there.
Hello?
Yep, we got you, Richard. Thank you very much. I can hear you well.
Okay, thank you. This is back to probably Mr. Storms and the planning department. I did call in before any of this got started about 5-6 weeks ago to the works department downtown, asking about with the new houses coming in and the levels of the basements. When I built my house, the house across the road from me, the foundation and basement is approximately 18 to 20 inches higher than mine. And because of the way I was told had to be done, had to be inspected, the excavation company, they had to fill in above my sewer line and my water line with pea gravel and sand. That made a basically a weeping bed from the road back to my house. And I have spent the last 12 years pumping out from the road back in. It's got to be the driest of dry days before I don't see water in my basement, and hence the installation of a $10,000 generator system outside. So if I'm away because of the known factor around Glencoe, you get any kind of a bad rain, you're going to get a flood in your basement. And so I protected myself with a generator, and I am worried that other people will be allowed to build down the street in John Street in these new houses, and their basement floor levels will be above mine, and I will still continue to drain the area based on the sand that's around the sewer and storm drains outside that just eventually comes through to filters the water, the groundwater from the area back towards my house. The house across the street, built 18 inches higher, has never had water in its sump pump. I have never known a day that I didn't have water in my sump pump.
Okay, those are technical questions that relate to how the house was built. Greg, do you want to comment on that? There's the only thing I can mention to Mr. Leopold is he's not alone in this matter when you live in Glencoe. Anyway, any comment, Greg?
Yeah, I don't know if you can draw a general conclusion to stormwater control in Glencoe as a, you know, an overall situation. I mean, that would be like saying that we understand where every piece of private storm tile is, or, you know, where people are venting their sump pumps, or whether they have, you know, block walls versus, you know, poured walls. I mean, it all comes down to, you know, to how the house was built, you know, where they vetted their sump pumps, etc. I certainly have been involved in the release plan for this particular area with the engineers. And, you know, that part of the ECA was approved. The stormwater control was approved by the ministry on our original submission. So there will be outlet. That outlet will be on the Code Street pipes that we have there. And that was the, you know, the plan as far as stormwater is concerned. So, you know, there is an opportunity for those connections on John Street. So, okay. But, you know, typically what happens is that, you know, with the new home would generate water at the foundation. That water and any water that's located at the foundation is brought back into the house and then vetted through a sump pump connection. You know, typically the new homes will have backflow prevention on those. And typically, I mean, you know, this is probably one area that we do understand a little bit better about stormwater in Glencoe, but, you know, because a place like Glencoe was built at different levels at different times, you know, and during different periods, like you will find a whole different way that people try to get rid of stormwater. So I don't think there's any consistency in Glencoe for the control of stormwater. Any of the new developments we have, you know, we require stormwater management ponds, the slow release of water, etc. And there's a whole lot of work that gets put into, you know, because it is probably one of our biggest factors. I do agree with Richard on that.
Okay, no, it is. And, we certainly sympathize with Mr. Leopold on that. And I say he's not, but we have to focus on the application.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just coming back to that. It kind of got talked around. I wasn't talking about the whole situation of the storm drains. I'm talking about the basements being at the same level as I was forced to be in the ground. I understand you build a raised ranch, it's only going to go in the ground 4.5 feet, but a full basement, if these ones are allowed to be higher than mine, then mine just ends up being the one that drains the street, because that's what it does.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the only one.
Anyways, I just wanted to put that into this whole situation, that there is a situation over here. That
When Mr. Zavitz has a chance to speak, the applicants in the agenda that's forthcoming, perhaps he can address some issue in terms of basement grade and level. And but we have to focus that this discussion is outside the boundaries of what council have before them and what the planner has submitted in terms of the rezoning application. This is technical engineering, and this council are non-engineers, nor are our staff. So it is difficult to specifically answer that. We will make an attempt to get some information on that, Mr. Leopold, further on in the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay. That was the second oral submission. Are there any others, Jill?
There are written comments.
Yes.
Then Denny will provide information with respect to that.
I have that next on my agenda. I was asking for written submissions. Denny, if you would be pleased enough to walk us through that, that would be great.
So the same list of people that submitted for the first application, all letters were submitted for both applications. So everything that I read in the previous application is effective for this application as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Jill, are we mandated to read those, or we have had them before and council are aware of them? How would you like to give advice to the chair on that? Is it necessary to read those? That one letter is on behalf of all of those. I believe it was signed by all. Any direction you can give the chair on that?
To your feet.
So the letter, there was a letter, but it was signed individually, but it's the same letter. The deputy clerk has read it. I would just acknowledge that it included the same individuals in our record, so that if they wish to appeal, their appeal rights are preserved. So it's Adrian and Rita Christians from Stella Ave, Bob Young and Judy Dakins on Code Street, Carol Gee on Code Street, Carol Todd on Code Street, Charlie and Bonnie Milhomans on John Street, David McDonald on Appin Road, Donna Lane on Stella Ave, Drew Layfield on Code Street, Gary and Maria Mulready on Stella, Catherine Huxon on Appin Road, Mike and Kim Bradford on John Street, Mike Bradford on Code Street, Rick Leopold on John Street, Scott and Tara Tack on Appin Road, and Terrence Visser on Code Street.
Okay, thank you. Then it will be recorded, and it's certainly on our video that those rights have been preserved. Okay, I think we have been through that. Yes, Denny.
Just in addition to that list is also Donna Lane on Stella Ave.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Jill, we are at a point in this agenda where we have a comment recess of 5 minutes, following which we'll have oral submissions. If they come forth, the applicant, Mr. Zavitz, will have his final remarks, and then it'll be a council decision. So we will return at 9:02. Jill, we'll return. Thank you very much, Council. I have been advised by Jill that no one has registered. So we can go on to the applicant's final remarks. Tim, if you're there, you've obviously heard some concerns, but if you have any final remarks, Tim, or would like to apprise council of anything, this is an opportunity to do so. Yep, Tim, you with us? Can you hear us? We'll give you a minute there.
Yeah, I don't have any further comments to add.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, it is now our decision. The planner has made a recommendation that it be granted. What's your decision, Council? Would someone entertain a motion to the effect of the planner? I'll call yes, Deputy Mayor Wilkins, and I require a seconder for that, and we'll have some discussion. Councilor McGill, thank you. The recommendation of the planner has been presented to us and acknowledged in the agenda. It's been moved and seconded. Council, is there any discussion on this that you'd like to direct? And just ask the chair who you'd like it directed to. Councilor McGill, followed by Deputy Mayor Wilkins.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I think we should amend this so the square footage is corrected to what Tim Zavitz said it actually was. I noticed when I read this report, this lot's actually a little bit smaller than the last lot. I think it's 3.3 acres instead of 3.6 acres. I wondered how on earth such a big building could be built. And also, would it be allowable for us to put in the recommendation that there be no additional cost to the other property owners on John Street? Because to me, that would seem very unfair if there was a possibility that costs could go up to the other property owners because of this.
Yeah. Your correction on square footage, Stephanie can confirm that we've got that right. In terms of amending that, I'm not sure whether we have the power to amend a provincial process. Jill would have to help me on that, or Greg. Jill, could you, Councillor McGill's second part of his request, I'm not sure whether that's attainable or not.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, to the councillor, I understand what you're saying. I understand the concerns expressed, but I currently am not aware of the ability to change how the costs are put forward to the properties. So it is based on what it is that the Municipal Act lays out with respect to local improvement charges. And so I don't know that a motion to try to adjust that would be in order.
Okay, that was my concern, Mark, but we certainly will make sure that
Additionally, if I can perhaps add from a planning perspective, unlike a minor variance or a consent application, there isn't the ability to implement conditions through a rezoning application.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie, for clarifying that. But you do have the correction on square footage, is that correct? Thank you. Okay, that's good. As long as when we'll take the nod of your head as a definitive approval that we've got that, Council. So that change will be made. Mark, I don't think we can pursue your second inquiry there. Council, and Deputy Mayor Wilkins, thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. So that was my question, asking if we could amend that to put in the square footage too, just so that it's correct when we do deal with this. So I guess my question through you, Mayor Mayhew, to Jill is, so Jill, with the added charges, would that be something then that could be worked out between Mr. Zavitz and the other lot owners on that street?
I'll let Jill
Additional
answer that.
charges. Yep.
And Mr.
There
Zavitz
is
can
any.
certainly come in. Yeah.
I will check with legal, but my understanding is the process as I've described it, that it will be a cost that is then as a total engineering costs, and the total construction costs are then spread out amongst all the property owners. The ability to halt the movement ahead would be available if the construction costs come back and are 110% higher. And I suppose it's possible that those costs may be higher as a result of these changes, but I don't know that for sure. So I don't know that the municipal act process would allow for what it is that you're describing, Deputy Mayor. So I don't know that that's something that we could add. This is a separate process that we're in the midst of, and the application came in as this had already begun. So the applicant was aware that this was the process that was being undertaken with respect to the development. And we're in the middle of two of the processes that are available.
So I think you're confused. It was Councillor McGill that asked if we could put something in this application to ensure that Mr. Zavitz paid more of the share because of this change. I'm not asking that. What I'm asking is if there are changes to this that cost more than was previously estimated because of the change, is that something that could be worked out between Mr. Zavitz and the other lot owners? Nothing to do with the agreement.
So through
legislation allow for that?
To Mayor Mayhew?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. No, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, I'm not aware of any ability for the municipality to impose that.
And that
it's okay. I'm not asking that either. Never mind. It's okay.
The legislation has been written, and it's our onus to follow it. Councillor Cowell, go ahead.
I think with the deputy mayor through the mayor to the CAO, I think what she's trying to say is if Mr. Zavitz wanted to go in with the check and pay the difference, be like, here's $5,000, please take it off the top of the bill and then divide it off afterwards. I think that's what she's saying is if the neighbors all chatted,
if that is allowed under the legislation, that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Councillor Cowell.
Yeah, so through you, I would just reiterate that wouldn't have anything to do with our process. So if the individual wanted to provide some kind of remuneration to all of the other landowners, that wouldn't be something that we would be a part of and wouldn't be something that we could really have any control over.
No, and council could not legislate that. It would be, that's a conversation that Mr. Zavitz can engage if he so wishes. Councillor Vink, go ahead.
Recorded vote.
Yep. Okay.
So you ready for me to call those?
Anytime, Jill, you do it at your convenience.
Oh, okay.
Just before you do, Stephanie has her hand up. Stephanie, would you like to say something?
I just wanted to confirm if possible with Tim while we have him. I wrote down the numbers. The total square footage that's now being proposed is 2,800 square feet total or 1,400 per side. I just wanted to confirm that so it can be included in the recommendation.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep, those are the numbers I had too, Steph. Yeah. Okay, Jill, when it's convenient for you, Jill, you can call the recorded vote.
Okay, so the request came from Councillor Vink, so we'll start with Councillor Vink.
No.
And Councillor Bartlett
Yes.
and Councillor Scholdice
No.
and Deputy Mayor Wilkins,
Yes.
Mayor Mayhew,
Yes.
Councillor McGill,
No.
Councillor Cowell.
Yes.
So that is 4 in favor, so the motion carries.
Thank you very much, Council. We move on to staff reports, number 8 on your agenda. Jill, we'll start with your report on council vacancy appointment procedure. And you have the vacancy procedure proposed. Could you walk us into this?
Sure. At the last meeting, council declared the vacancy for one of the positions in Ward 2. And the process that was picked was an appointment through application. So in light of that, we have put forward a procedure for council to consider so that people who are applying will have a full understanding of what the process entails from start to finish. I've outlined what the expected timeline is as a result. And so I would expect we'd be looking at a new councillor taking the oath of office in December. And I suppose it would depend on how many meetings would need to have. If there were several applications, then it's possible we would need more than one meeting to review all of those for council's consideration. So the proposal was also confirmed, I did confirm with both legal and the ministry with respect to the appointment, and have confirmed that the process works within the legislative framework. That's
Thank you, Jill. Yep, thank you, Jill, very much. Council, any questions you'd like to direct towards Jill? I'll call it again. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Scholdice, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. I guess just as an example, say for instance, if Councillor Vink's wife wanted to run for this position, would he be excused from the entire discussion if he had to declare a conflict of interest?
I would, because it's an interview process, I would think he would. Jill, you can confirm that. There is an interview process as part of this structure. Jill, if that scenario were to evolve, what would happen?
Yeah, so I would just take the opportunity to remind all members of council that it's the duty of the member to decide whether or not they have a pecuniary interest, and then up to them to make the declaration. And they certainly have the ability to check and get some advice with the integrity commissioner if they've got questions about whether or not they should be participating in a discussion and a deliberation and then a vote. And so that's to be frank, staff really should not give advice with respect to Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. So I don't think I can answer that question for you tonight.
Yep. And just a councillor as well, the chair asks, is there any pecuniary or general conflict to any councillor involved at the meeting? So the question is directed to the council. Councillor Vink, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. To Jill, I'd just like to point out, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, a member can also see their own lawyer to see if they have a pecuniary interest. They don't necessarily have to go to the meeting investigator. Is that correct?
Jill, go ahead. Thank you.
Through Mayor, certainly you can seek legal advice from your own lawyer. Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a recommendation before us. It has been run through legal. It has been run through the ministry. Would anyone entertain a motion that staff prepare the process of the vacancy in council?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Scholdice. Last call for questions. All in favor, please raise your hand. Carried.
I think that Councillor McGill had his hand up for a comment.
Oh, did you?
My apologies.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, thank you, Krista, but I think I'm okay. We have a lot on the agenda. We should just keep going. Thank you.
Okay, 8B, disposal of surplus goods and asset policy. Jill, it spells out how we sell goods and land. Can you walk us through this?
Right. So it actually is not land. It's specifically the goods and other assets that are not land. So this is just put forward for council's consideration. The previous purchasing policy included disposal of surplus assets as one small component of the policy, and with the adoption of a new procurement policy, just recommending that an updated policy be considered so that staff and the public are clear about what it is that we will be doing in the event that assets have been determined to be surplus and obsolete. And I did seek the feedback from the asset managers, primarily, again, that would be Public Works and fire, as well as some in general government between the Treasurer's Department and CAO's department, but also in IT. So I've had the conversation with County IT, specifically because of security concerns related to IT and how you don't want to move laptops that have been used for confidential business over to just anywhere. So they have their own processes and that they have, and we follow them. So I'm available for any questions, but essentially just looking for an adoption of this to help the process be clear.
Okay, Council, any questions regarding the report? Yes, Martin, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Allen. I'm just looking at being on council previously. It seems to me some of these figures are pretty high. Like I personally do not agree with that. It was $39,000. That council is not even being told that a head of a department can trade in a $39,000 piece of equipment for another piece without going through council. I disagree with that.
I think I think it would find its way back to council eventually, but Jill, correct me if I'm wrong. Can you address Councillor Vink's concern that it will circumvent council?
Right. So the point is not to circumvent council. If there's a piece in the budget that has been approved where we're looking to purchase something, and then if we've got an asset that we're able to trade in, then if the fair market value doesn't exceed $40,000, then it's up to the department head. So if you're looking to purchase a new asset for a replacement, that's the only time you're going to have a trade-in, and that would be as part of the budget conversation.
Okay, so the budget approved by council would be council's involvement in that. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Staff made the recommendation. Would someone move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Cal. I see your hand, and I require a seconder for that, Council. Deputy Mayor Wilkins, thank you. Last call for questions. Yes, Councillor Cal, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that this was the second time in this meeting that suspicions have been made by Councillor Vink against staff.
Okay. Noted. Yep. Councillor Vink, make it short if you can, Martin. These conversations can go on with administration following the meeting, but the chair will give you a courtesy of a few seconds here.
we were asked for questions, Mayor Allen, and I just asked a question, and we're responsible to the ratepayers, and that's all I'm doing is asking questions on behalf of ratepayers.
Okay. All right. We have a mover and a seconder. The chair will call the question that the recommendation be accepted. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, noted. All right. Jill, I'm at number 9 on the agenda. Notice of motion. Have you received any?
No, I have not.
Okay, thank you very much. Jill, number 10 is correspondence and petitions. Have you received any?
No.
Okay. And council, unfinished business. We're going to deal with, unfinished business. There's none, I don't believe, unfinished business. Number 12, under new business, we have item 5F, 5G, and 5A. 5F and 5G are Enniskillen regarding the Cannabis Act. Councillor Vink, I believe you asked council to pull these out and discuss them. Can you reiterate your concern?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Allen. Well, the motions are self-explanatory. I don't want to waste a lot of time on it. I just agree with the motions from Enniskillen Township. I was on St. Clair Conservation Committee with the mayor there, Kevin Marriott, and they had a big cannabis plant in Enniskillen Township. And my brother-in-law lives nearby. You can smell the greenhouse operation there. They're moving out, but the thing is, there should be more local zoning and local say. I remember Councillor Crothers talked about that, and I do agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. Jill, they're requesting an endorsement of that from this council, or is it just for information? I haven't got the pieces of correspondence in front of me at the moment. I can get them though if you want. What action are they requesting, Jill?
So they have shared their resolution, and then they shared it with all municipalities. So if the council member would like to have this endorsed, I'm assuming that's what you're looking for, Councillor Vink?
Can you clarify that, Martin?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, that's what I was looking for, Jill and Mayor Allen. Yes.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that? Okay, Councillor Scholdice. Okay. I think the interesting part of the conversation here is the question, is cannabis an agricultural product? That's a question that is interesting as well. And I know the industry would like it to be regarded as an agricultural product, but whether it is or not. Okay, there's a move. Yes, Councillor McGill, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Municipalities have ways of regulating odors and noises, things like that. I know we went through that process when somebody applied for a marijuana grow up in our municipality. And did we not deal with the odor issue?
Yes, under site plan development, it can be mitigated. That's correct.
So I think that's the way municipalities should go to deal with any odor complaints.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways of dealing with it.
Yes, there are. Okay, any other questions? Okay, the chair will call the vote to endorse Enniskillen's resolution. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Notice Enbridge. Oh, no, we're not doing that. 5G is not, we got 5I, I'm sorry. 5I, the enhanced vaccination, what is it, 5J? 5I or 5J we pulled out, I think, was it 5I? Yeah,
So we have F, G, and L.
okay, F, G, and L. Okay, yes, that was the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, a large budget. Yes, the councillor would like to speak to this. Please go ahead.
Yeah, are we on to the St. Clair
Yes.
Region Conservation
Yes, we are.
Authority draft budget? Well, I'm hoping you all had a chance to read through that. And I think the reason the Conservation Authority sent so much information was because of the large proposed increase. St. Clair Region Conservation Authority, as of 2017, had the lowest general levy per capita of the 36 conservation areas in Ontario, which worked out to $5.25 per capita. Now, that's not the way levies are assessed. They're assessed based on assessed values of properties, not on so much per person. Our increase on page 73, the increase, if this goes through to Southwest Middlesex, would be $2,327 increase. And most of that, as it says in that report, is so we could expand the number of staff we have in our Planning and Regulations Department, the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority's Planning and Regulation Department, to handle the extra workload from more applications. And also there would be a 10% increase in fees in both 2022 and 2023. I guess we'll have a chance to discuss this more at our budget meetings. I hope everybody will attend our budget meetings from now on because they're very important. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, I could possibly help you out.
Thank you, Mark, very much for bringing this to council's attention. The invitation has been extended. Does council wish to take advantage of this? Any questions to Mark? Seeing none, but Mark, thank you once again. It is an important part of our municipal partnerships and administrative partnerships, and we're glad to hear from the St. Clair region. Okay, I think we have been through that. There's no addendums, there's no other business. County Council update has been circulated. Are there any conference updates that you wish to advise your members of council? Any councillor? Seeing none. Announcements on 14. Council, any announcements? Yes, Councillor Scholdice, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Mayhew. Just wanted to comment on the historical murals. Wasn't completely sure how they were going to turn out, but there's been a lot of positive feedback, and hoping that there's some more in the works for throughout the whole municipality, including all 3 wards.
Yep, they certainly are, and there's been some private sponsors make some inquiries today, Councillor Scholdice, so that's good. And we certainly, if any councillors in your ward, if you have a location that you think you'd like to put one, please advise the Historical Society. They would, having a host location is most important. Sometimes the money can be found, but if you have an area with some curbside appeal and you think it would be a good location, make some inquiries, and the Historical Society can take it from there.
Will do.
Yes, Councillor McGill.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Mayhew. And the Heritage Trail signs were a much needed improvement. The one out in front of the municipal office looks nice. And I believe there's new flags on the flagpoles too. Is that correct?
Yes, there are. That's much appreciated.
So people might not notice the HVAC units when that happens, or the roof, although that's necessary too, but they notice that sign out front.
Yep, they do. Councillor Cal.
I just wanted to let people know, if you're into geocaching, my husband and daughter and I placed 11 geocaches in the in Skunk's Misery this weekend, and some of them have already been found, but some of them have not yet been found. And there's some really cool, fun Halloween geocaches, and they're really designated towards kids. So if the weather, but wear boots because it's super muddy. So, you know, if you're out this weekend and you have a pair of boots, that's a place to go. Check out our trails. There's new fun things there.
That sounds like a good venue, Krista. Thanks very much for bringing that to the attention of both council and the public. Councilor McGill.
Yeah, and Glencoe Presbyterian Church is having a drive-through turkey dinner on November 6th. I hope it's okay to bring that up. Tickets are still available for a little while longer yet.
Okay.
You could even ask me if you're interested in tickets.
Sounds good, Mark. Okay. Everyone deserves a night off from cooking supper. And any other announcements? Perhaps the chair can mention the Creature Call on Main Street on Halloween on Sunday. There'll be many of the businesses and service organizations and societies in Southwest Middlesex will be on Main Street. And historically, our fire department are there as well. And you'll have no trouble seeing them. They will be in pickup trucks and tables along Main Street for the Creature Crawl, and they'll have lots of candy to dish out to those in costume. Okay. Council, we're approaching 25 minutes left. I'm hoping to get done by curfew here. The bylaws are before you. For the convenience of the public and staff, they have been asked to be considered prior to going into closed session, which we will be very shortly. Would someone move the bylaws as recommended? Yes, Councillor Cowell, thank you. And
I'm gonna make a comment just quickly after they've been.
No problem. Yes, go ahead, Krista.
Oh, I'm just super excited. Did you see that the CIP funding agreement's on there? Sorry, I just want to shout out to that.
Yeah, it is. It's very good news. Yeah, it is. And very happy property owners, I must add, too. A motion to move do I take that, Councillor Cowell, that you'll move that recommendation, the bylaws be accepted as recommended? Thank you. A seconder. Councillor Scholdice. Jill, do you have a question?
I just wanted to advise that we will also update that second zoning bylaw amendment related to Mr. Zavitz so that the square footage is correct as well. Okay.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Council, any questions on the bylaws? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Council, we have some items to discuss that necessitate a closed session. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. May I have a motion and to go into closed session at 9:36. Would someone move that, please? Councillor Bartlett, a seconder. Councillor Vink. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, and